If you were to ask me, what is my secret superpower? I would say attunement. Attunement is the embodied capacity to sense and feel another person or a situation. In my younger years, when I was at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I would often be worried about if people were lying to me or somehow taking advantage of me, and I wanted to study all these body language books so I could never be deceived by anybody. And I can honestly say that today I almost never worry about these things because I trust my capacity to feel what is emerging in any given situation. One of my favorite books is a book called Musashi. This is a historical fiction about one of the greatest samurais in Japanese history. And in one scene, he's entering a new environment, and there's two doors. There's a door on the left and a door on the right. And he turns to the door on the left and senses something is off. And so he turns and goes straight through the other door and comes around. And later discovers that above the door on the left, there was an ambush waiting for him. And had he gone through that door, he would have most likely been killed. For me, this is the heart of attunement, the embodied capacity to sense and feel a situation that maybe something is off over here, or maybe I should go this way, or just really be present with another person at a much deeper level of communication. The heart of communication is communion, coming into union, that I'm with you, I feel you. I want to offer some distinctions here between empathy, compassion, and attunement. Empathy is putting yourself in another person's position. You can see and feel the world as they do, not necessarily that you actually feel them. Compassion is that you don't want another person to suffer. And for many people, this is an intellectual process, that you see suffering and you don't want that person to suffer. But as the experience of compassion deepens, it becomes an embodied experience, that you can feel the pain of another person. And by virtue of that, of course, you don't want them to suffer. Attunement is that you literally feel another person. It's not that you feel what they feel. This is a key distinction here. It is not that you feel what they feel, or even that you see the world as they do. It is simply that you feel that person. So when I'm interacting with another person, I'm present to the embodied experience of that person in my body. I'm present to everything that comes up as a sensation or some kind of felt sense when I am with this person. And that translates to a certain kind of embodied intelligence that offers, for me, at least two things. One is it offers me safety. I am almost never in a situation where I feel that I do not know what is going on, or I'm not aware of the underlying dynamics. It doesn't mean that I'm not in situations where I don't feel uncomfortable or where I don't feel danger. But if I am in a situation where I might feel some kind of danger, I'm very present to that. I'm very aware of it. I trust my capacity to sense everything that is going on, whether I'm walking down a dark street or simply having a challenging interaction with another person. So first and foremost, attunement offers me a sense of safety, that whatever is going on, I am aware of it, and because of that awareness, I'm able to respond with more intelligence. And the other thing that attunement offers is the capacity for me to offer someone else safety. Thomas Hubel shares that safety is when I feel you feeling me. So I feel you feeling me. I feel that you're with me. So when I am able to feel another person, to truly be with them, whatever we might be talking about, that creates safety. Or when I hold space, when I bring people together into a room, whether it's a meeting or a learning experience or a workshop, I'm present to my embodied experience of that space. And so that creates safety, and then it also creates an understanding of how to expand that safety by inviting everyone who's present to notice their embodied experience. That might be a few moments of stillness, and might be just noticing what's any sensations that are in your body, and that creates that space of safety for everyone involved. Now, earlier I said that this was my secret superpower. How is safety a superpower? The reality is that whatever you want to accomplish in your life, whether you're building a company or building a family or building a career or building yourself, it most likely involves other people. It involves being in relationship with other people, and at the very least involves being in relationship with yourself. And attunement is really the heart of being in relationship. Everything that I talk about on these videos is ultimately about holding space. And holding space means being present to and being in relationship to what is in the space of your experience. And being in relationship to what is in the space of your experience is attunement. It's not just an intellectual relationship, it's an embodied relationship. It is being present to the full spectrum of your experience in relationship to yourself, to another person, or to your environment. And when you are present to that full spectrum, again, it's not, the full spectrum is mental, emotional, physical, and beyond. When you're present to the full spectrum of that experience, it opens up an entirely new dimension of life and relationship. That is why attunement is a superpower. Now, if you want to cultivate attunement, this isn't something that you do in reading a book or in one day. This is a lifelong process. There's always something more that you can become aware of. But I do want to offer you some specific things that you can do to expand this capacity in your life. And much of this is simply how I've opened up the power of attunement in my life, because for the first 30 years of my life, I would not say that I had this capacity. So this is absolutely something that I have developed over the last 10 or 12 years. And the first step is really to clean up your relational space, the relationships in your life. And what I mean by that is look at any significant relationships you have in your life, whether they're family or close friends, where you have anything that's incomplete, whether it's a resentment or a fight or something that's unresolved or something that's not addressed, or there's a big elephant in the room that you just don't talk about. Find a way to clean that up. All of that has a relationship to the energetic structure that is you. And when you have parts of you that are tied up in an unresolved situation, it diminishes your capacity to be attuned to the rest of life. The second thing is to develop a body scanning practice. Now, this could be just the practice of sitting and meditating, like a Vipassana style body scanning experience where you just bring awareness to the sensations on your body. Or it could be weaving in body scanning into an existing physical practice. Maybe you do yoga and you begin to notice your somatic experience as you move through the postures, but bringing awareness to your somatic experience. And then 3 is beginning to notice what comes up in your body, maybe as more challenging territory, which is inevitable as you begin to bring more awareness to your body. You begin to connect more deeply with your emotions or different insecurities or pain or some kind of trauma, and beginning to notice how that shows up in your body, beginning to integrate that. And when you do so, it opens up your capacity to be receptive to that in other people, because every person has pain, has traumas, has insecurities that also show up in their bodies. And when you have integrated something inside yourself, it opens up your capacity to be present to it inside another person. And so you can be in a more meaningful relationship there. That is attunement. And finally, is just beginning to notice your somatic experience when you are in a situation, when you're engaging with another person, or when you're in an environment. Begin to notice how things show up, or do so retrospectively. Maybe you came out of a challenging conversation and reflect on what came up for you physically in that conversation. What can you notice about your experience? Because all of that are signals that are offered to you as part of that attunement. And honestly, this is how I have built up a lot of my attunement, because just because something comes up for you doesn't mean it's the truth. But if something comes up for you as an indicator of what you think might be the truth, and then you validate that by either asking the person directly, which in itself is a very powerful communication practice. Something is coming up for you, and you just bring it up into the space rather than kind of trying to push it aside, and ask about it directly. And that gives you a way to validate that. Or something came up for you in an experience, like you had a concern or an intuition that something was off, and later you discovered that that was true, or later you discovered that it wasn't. Both cases allow you to begin to hone and fine-tune this capacity to be attuned to a situation. In my experience, as I've done so, I have a very high degree of trust that if something is coming up for me, even the slightest little niggle of something, that I'm like, that I pay attention to that and trust it, because it's never been wrong. And that's just my experience, but I've never been wrong. That if something comes up for me, there's something there for me to tune into or try to understand. And inevitably, literally 100% of the time, for me personally, there's something there that then opens up. And if I ignore that, then I do that at my own peril. So that is how attunement helps me be in real relationship with everything that's around me, in deep relationship with everything that's around me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. I would love to hear your own reflections on attunement. Please share your comments below. So much love.